street view. I mean, since we have such a limited access from the flag lot to the street, we're set back off the street. We're actually,
I can picture where it is. I know where it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually,
Far one.
so this being First Avenue, most of your site is going to be from here, which once this property is developed will even go away and not even be able to see it once that property is developed. So we put a lot of our effort into making the back of this building and the office aesthetically appealing from the street, because this is the bulk of what you see. This is all off-street, and once it's developed, you'll never ever see any, basically all the way around. This will be basically the only view you have, and that's why we put a lot of effort into, this type of building. If you look at mini storages in general, they're pretty hokey, and T111 and comp roof, and but some of the newer ones are starting to look more like this and more modern, and that's why we kind of went with this look and that initial street where the vision's going to be, if that makes sense. Because we want it to look cool and safe and want people to come into it instead of a rundown place where their stuff might be at risk. So we're
Thank
trying
you.
to make it look as best we can. Yeah.
Okay.
More questions?
I don't think so.
And don't forget what the sign's gonna look like, 30 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any comments? Discussion? Well, my major concerns would, starting with the well issue, I'm happy to hear that that you can accommodate this gentleman here and his concerns about the well. Part of what we do here is we just apply the rules and the regulations that are given to us. And so things about the fairness issue or those are things that are, in my estimation, a little bit out of our purview. We'll have to take that up with the city council in some manner. So I don't have a problem with the metal roof or door, and we as a group here, we did take up the issue of the number of employees that must be addressed in developments like this. And so we've had some disagreement with the city council on that, and they'll render their verdict on the number of employee issue. My major concern is with the street. As Brian said, it's at the bare minimum, 20 feet. Is that what you said, Brian?
It's at the, when we require a development, we require the improve one half of the adjacent street to at least 20 foot. So if the adjacent street isn't 20 foot, after you do your half street, then you have to improve however more so that you have 20 foot of improvement adjacent to the frontage.
Okay. So I'm concerned that even though there will be a sign that says right turn only, that people will take that merely as a suggestion rather than something that they need to do. So my thinking would be that I would like to see some sort of, I won't say a barrier, but something that would discourage people from making a left-hand turn there. So maybe in lieu of a flat yellow center stripe, maybe something more in a mound. I've seen those before. So, a divider, yeah. So that would be a cause of concern for me, is that when it says right turn only, people are making a right turn only. So, so other than that, now that we have the water issue addressed, the right turn only issue is the only thing that is unresolved in my mind.
Am I getting you right, like almost directing traffic that way out of our place? So, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, but some type of curbing or something that only allows the vehicles to go that way, or
Right.
makes it nearly impossible to.
Yeah, they would have to make a conscious effort to go over some sort of low divider or something like that, knowing that, again, if left to their own devices, people look both ways, they don't see any oncoming traffic or officers of the law, they're going to make a left-hand turn because it's more convenient. And so if we have some sort of something there, and my concern would be, Brian, that if you put up some sort of barrier that would discourage a left-hand turn, that would take away, because we're already at the 20-foot minimum.
Yeah, we have, I can't remember what it's called, it's a funky name, but there's that kind of thing planned at Ivy and Northwest First Avenue, where eventually we're going to prohibit vehicles, we're going to make vehicles heading towards Ivy on First only be able to do a right turn out. And so it's the same concept. Whatever they're going to install to only allow you to turn right would be the same thing they could do at this driveway. I forget what they call it. But there is something that could be utilized that would physically force them to also make that decision besides the sign, and still allow them to come down First and turn left into the site.
Any other concerns?
I think the center median and the street won't work with the deliveries for the neighboring property. I think what you're talking about is a pork chop at the...
Yeah, pork chop, that's where they are. I couldn't think of the name.
Pork chop.
Yeah, pork chop and then this kind of thing, you know. Pat knows what to do.
We have significant semis coming back and forth through there.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to have full access for those.
The pork chop would be all on site at their driveway, on their driveways. I think there's enough for him to do it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so no more discussion? This time, then, we will render a decision and entertain a motion to approve or not this development.
Do we need to state in the motion about the well?
I would. Yeah, so.
I'm not going to say it first.
You asked. Okay, so,
I might just mention before you make motion, generally the drainage plans are finalized at a processing step after the planning commission, because they do have to get DEQ approval. So the state's got to approve this. The state's going to make sure they're complying with our master plan requirements of separation requirements. So whether it's 100 foot or 216 feet, they're going to have to end up complying with that from any existing water well, and the state's going to make sure they do that as well.
so we don't need to put that in.
And so it's okay to put something in there, but I don't think you have to worry about the distance thing
Okay.
necessarily. Just say comply with required separation distances.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion regarding Canby self-storage DR 15-06 /CUP 15-03.
Mr. Chair, I recommend approval of Canby Self-Storage DR 15-06/Cup 15-03. Now, some of the issues we talked about was the metal doors. I think we're satisfied with that. Conditional use, I think that should be okay. And condition number 9, wording as proposed by staff. I'd like to see some wording added in addition to the pork chop, per your concern, at the entrance and exit point. Maybe not a 90-degree curved barricade, but something with a bevel so that fire trucks can get over it, or if a long vehicle needs to get in to the storage area, they can make a left turn over it. Follow me, because there's also the issue of coming in too, not only getting out. But if it was ramped up, gradual, or if vehicles had to get over it, they could, but yet it would discourage the left turn onto First.
So how would you like to word that into this? That's a long way to go a
Long
short
way to get
distance.
So if I could make a suggestion,
Certainly, please.
I
Andy,
would
did you get all that?
suggest that you modify condition number 1 that says he has to comply with the findings of the DKS traffic analysis, and say, including a requirement for a physical improvement such as a pork chop to direct traffic for right turnout only, still allowing traffic to make its left turns in.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That work for you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's see, did I address condition number 2, modified proposal or wording by the staff? I know I did 9, I'm not sure if I did.
You did not do 2.
Okay. I'd like to see condition 2 and 9 wording proposed by staff.
Okay.
Could I also get you to include the modification to condition 2 that I had read earlier? That
He just
talks
said
about
that.
the sanitary sewer with the,
Yes.
okay.
Right, that's right.
You
He just said that.
Okay.
Mhm.
I wasn't listening.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and it will comply with required separation distances for the well.
Yes.
Okay.
It sounds like that's going to get addressed anyway when it gets to the environmental level.
Okay, are we all clear?
Kind of.
So we could just make that comply with the required separation distances from existing well for the drainage system, maybe another condition 10 or something.
Okay.
So it's there.
Yeah, let's just get that
Okay.
into the record. Okay. I don't think that we have a,
I'll second that, but in a much tidier fashion than than what was said.
okay. So we'll have the motion to approve Canby Self-Storage DR 15-06 /Cup 15-03 with the aforementioned requirements. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What you said there helped. Just sort of for the new kid to say that those are city council items that they can take
Right.
up with them
We
with the
won't.
overlay before just about code.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for that eye contact and smiles. Yes.
Okay, so do we have any new business?
No new business.
No new business. Okay. So final decision.
So we do have a final decision that's been prepared, and it's entirely up to you, but these additional, it's done in a manner that I could add these additional modifications to condition 2. We can add condition 9 and add condition 10 as we've discussed, and make one more finding or two in here too about that you've agreed to use of the private grinder system, and that you've found that the amount of metal utilized is appropriate, and that for this unique use and the use of the metal overhead doors is functionally required. And I could add that in there, and you could approve those with those changes if you want
Are
to
you guys
just
comfortable
get
with
it
that?
done.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
comfortable with that, John?
Yes.
That works for us.
Okay, so I have that here if you want to make a motion to approve the findings with those changes noted. And I'll just get your signature on them,
To approve.
and we'll squeeze those things in ahead of your signature.
We're waiting to have a motion to approve.
I would move that we approve the findings with the edits for DR 1506. Oh, there's more,
Okay.
isn't there?
Cap 15-03.
That.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Neil Bryan. Items of interest from the staff. Next scheduled meeting, December 14th.
Yeah, I've got two items. So the first one is related to that next meeting. What we have on that agenda is one item. It's Hotstetler's minor land partition. And that's the only item right now we currently have scheduled for that. So hopefully that'll be a fairly quick meeting. And then the other item is, didn't get a chance to talk to you ahead of time, but I would strongly, now that we have a new planning commissioner on board, I would strongly urge the commission as a body to make some sort of formal decision with regard to how we're going to handle Smith's continuing and planned future long-term leave of absence. At a minimum, it would be good for us to know what to expect, how long is it going to be, what's appropriate in terms of an absence. As you're aware, we just had a leave of absence for Commissioner Surlett, and thinking about this, Laney and I checked, most of the examples were from out of state, but other planning commissioners in the country do have an application process where you fill out a request as a planning commissioner when you want a formal leave of absence. Most of those that we saw actually have the city council approve such a leave of absence. But at a minimum, it seems like this body should at least recognize or agree when there's going to be such. And this is based upon conversations that Clint Coleman and I have had with Mr. Smith, and our understanding that he's probably not going to attend for quite some time.
It is my understanding from Commissioner Smith that he stayed on, technically on, and he told us that way ahead of time, that he would only be coming here if, for lack of a quorum
Which
or an
was
emergency.
wonderful.
Which was wonderful,
Yes.
but we are now full. Mr. Boatwright, we're here, we'd have a full agendas, full commission. So my feeling is that Mr. Smith, Commissioner Smith, would be, and I will speak to him, but I'm pretty sure that he would be happy to resign. That would be my feeling. But I will confer with
Okay.
him. He stayed on only because we requested it and
We were short of
we were short of folks.
Yeah.
Well, we did have a discussion with him, and we do know that he would like to be on the planning commission again,
Oh,
for
really?
sure.
Huh.
And
He's a
so,
little busy with it.
so we didn't really get the word resign from him necessarily.
Well, I haven't had this discussion
So
with
I
him
thought-
for a number
so
of
we-
months.
Yeah, so I thought we'd let you
I
have it.
haven't either, so.
But we felt like it should at least be resolved, and so that all of you can agree if
Yeah.
we're going to leave this seat as it is with him not attending, and for what time period that you would agree to do that.
I will be in contact with Mr. Smith and get some kind of firm resolution to the outcome.
Thank you very much.
I think that is a good idea, though, about formalizing the leave of absence policy.
Because we had a set time for you, and you came back early.
Yes.
Man,
He missed us.
just showing us the love.
When was his term? When was Tyler's term?
Gosh,
Did he just re-up?
is it 17?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
it
just
goes-
started before he.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it goes through 2017, apparently.
Okay.
I will call Commissioner Smith and get some clarity.
Okay.
Okay. Items of interest and guidance from the Planning Commission. I'd like to take a moment and welcome our newest member.
Thank you.
Thank you for stepping in and volunteering.
I'm getting our PowerPoint to work.
Double
excited to be here.
pressed into duty already. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Brian, where do we want to go then with this issue of leave of absences? Do we want it ourselves, or do we want to move it to the city council or a policy?
Well, I was just mentioning the fact that the examples we looked at actually do kind of give the council, it's almost a mayor and a council decision usually on how to handle such a thing. The typical leave of absence that we saw from examples was up to 3 months. That seemed, and it was usually for an illness or taking care of an immediate family member, an emergency, or for military duty. Gosh, I was trying to think if there was any of the others examples, but that was generally what they gave the leave of absence for.
So are you wanting them to, because I'm assuming staff could come up with a standard operating guideline, a proposal
I mean,
of
we
some
could.
sort for a
If
leave
you
of absence
wanted
policy?
to do that, what we do is amend your policies and bylaws that are in this little handbook. It is in there, and I was searching today for another standard that is typically in those policies or bylaws for planning commissioners, and I believe the city council operates by it, is that if any planning commissioner has 3 consecutive unexcused absences, you may choose to evict them from planning commission membership. But it also, you can explain that if you are absent, not unexcused, but that you've asked ahead of time, then that doesn't count as one of your 3 consecutives.
But it's at the discretion of this body.
Yes, but if you wanted to formalize it, we could do something like that and put it in the bylaws here. We're supposed to look at those once a year and just to give you familiarity that they exist. And they kind of tell you how you operate in a meeting if you haven't read them. They tell you what we do.
Well, if you, could you email me a proposal on how you would word that? And then maybe we can talk about that at our meeting on the 14th.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
Talk to Mr. Smith in the
And I will
meantime.
talk to Mr. Smith in the meantime.
All right.
Excellent.
Okay. I will entertain, anything else? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to adjourn the meeting this evening.
Oh, I'm sure Mr. Hensley will second that.
I will.
Norm, happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving.